It's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome, everyone. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the city's YouTube channel. We'll move on for a roll call, please. Please state your name.
Nick Wolf here. Dan Wozniak. I here. Tom Murray.
Wainwright, absent. Moving on to item number 4, the consent agenda. Unless there are any questions on the consent agenda, I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 5. In your packets, council, you have all the department reports. I don't see the sheriff representative here. Do you have any questions for any of the department heads?
Remind me when the sheriff gets here to ask what a mental subject classification is.
Okay,
I saw in the fire department the notes about that vehicle that caught fire out in you had to use your UTVs, ATVs to get out of it.
And that was kind of question.
Really?
Yeah, because it was so muddy, we got stuck a couple times getting out there where the grass was. And we kept trying to do something, but we couldn't get back there. And they were kind of bottom of the valley. One of the UTVs got back there, so we could at least make patient contact. So that all went okay.
Nice that we're doing like that.
Oh, yeah, the actual truck itself is long. But
are there any other questions for the department heads or the engineer? Hearing none, we will move on. Item number 6, which is a presentation by the solid waste agency.
All right,
Good evening, Joe. Welcome.
Madam Mayor, Council, good to be here. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I'm Joe Guarini. I'm the Deputy Director with the Cedar Rapids Linn County Solid Waste Agency. Here to give our annual update on services, programs. I'll have an update this year about what's going on with landfill capacity as well. So jump right into it. Solid Waste Agency, we're a 28E organization, founded back in 1994 when the city of Cedar Rapids and Linn County combined as a 28Es. We're not the city, we're not the county, but we represent all of Linn County. We have our 9-member board of directors. We have 6 officials from the city of Cedar Rapids, 2 Linn County supervisors, Brandy Meinscheid and Ben Rogers. And Supervisor Rogers will get replaced here pretty soon. We'll find out who we're going to get after that. And then we have 1 appointee from the city of Marion. We operate our 2 locations. The landfill and recycling location is what we call Site 2. Site 1 is Mount Trashmore, the closed landfill. And then Site 3 is our compost facility that's adjacent to Mount Trashmore down there by Czech Village in Cedar Rapids. So I'll jump right in now first to FY26, the tipping fees. The landfill tipping fee is going to be going up here on July 1st, start of the new year. It'll be $50 per ton, going up to $48 per ton. Special waste is going up a little bit too. Special waste is mostly industry specific, so we don't get a lot of that coming in from the public. Bulky waste is going to $80 per ton, a $2 increase. That's things like railroad ties, telephone poles, things that are really hard to handle in the landfill. They take a lot of compactor dozer action to take care of it. And then commercial hazardous waste processing, that's going to go up a little bit. And this is for, we don't get a lot of this. This comes from what we call VSQGs, very small quantity generators. There's a limit that we can take at our facility, but this is just for commercial. Residential can still bring in household hazardous materials for no charge. Our compost facility will see a small increase too. It's going to go up to $32 per ton. That's for the yard waste and wood waste going in down there. Facility. Commercial finished compost will also be $32 per ton. That's what we sell to the landscapers. Residents will continue to get compost for no charge. And then the biggest increase that we're going to have this year is the commercial recycling. This is for the folks that bring recycling to us. This is basically going to affect city of Marion and then Red Sanitation, who picks up for a lot of smaller communities in northern Linn County. It's going to go from $100 per ton to $115. The reason for that being is we're getting a lot of contamination. We're getting paper, plastic, and cardboard coming in. There's also a lot of styrofoam, plastic bags, and so it's getting taken to Republic, and then they're just turning around and rejecting it. So that's the issue with that. So we're going to continue the educational push to make sure people are recycling the right way. This next slide here is our landfill capacity. this is the aerial view, so up to the north would be County Home Road, off to the right is Highway 13. And so that green section that you see there, that is phases 1 through 5A, that's the current active landfill phase, that's where all the garbage coming into the landfill goes. And we're gonna start planning for phase 5B. Phase 5B is the last section of landfill that we can use. Planning design will start this fall, and the construction on that will be in 2027. And so that's what's gonna take us till we run out of capacity. So at our location, we have to close June 30th, 2044 per our settlement agreement with the city of Marion. That's when we have to be out of there. We won't reach that with capacity in the landfill right now. Airspace wise, it looks like we're gonna be full in February of 2037. That can fluctuate a little bit each year. I think last year here I told you it was gonna be 2036. So we gained a year back, but we still have about a 7-year gap of when we have to close that location. So knowing that, we just want to make sure folks are aware as we go forward. You know, I come here every year and I have these increases every year when it comes to the tipping fee. The reason for that being is once the landfill's full, there's not gonna be another new landfill in Lynn County because of zoning restrictions. So we're gonna go to transfer stations. So what will happen is when this location fills up, if it is 2037, it'll still be open, the garbage will still come there, then it'll be transferred out to another location. And that'll happen for 7 years until we have to close in 2044, at which point, we'll have, at that point, have another transfer station for the handling garbage in Lynn County. But transfer is the next cheapest option after landfilling, but it's still quite expensive. So if it's like, if we're doing apples to apples to everything that we do now that's subsidized by us, instead of it being at $50 per ton, it would be more like $95 per ton at that current rate. So that's why we'll have a small increase each year as we run out of capacity. So when folks make that transition from landfilling to transfer station, it's not a $40 a ton increase that no one's prepared for. And one note, the city of Marion, it has formed a subcommittee for their city council, where they're looking at options, because you see on the map there, that line where we have to stop with phase 5B, that's 1,800 feet from our southern boundary. That bottom line, DNR regulations say you don't have to be 50 feet from your southern boundary, so there's a lot of space there that we technically could use that we can't because of the settlement agreement that we both signed, City of Marion and the agency. So we'd be willing to reconsider. It's up to them if they want to. They don't have to. That's something hopefully that we could, because that would benefit everyone.
How much capacity time frame if you were based it on? I mean, from the map, it looks like you'd be able to double your storage.
So if we leave the pond that you see there in the lower right corner as is, if we leave it as is like that, we can, instead of being full in 2037, we can make it to about 2066. Now, if we took out the pond, it'd be more. However, that would involve working with the Army Corps of Engineers, since that's permitted and to be like that, because we had to reroute Indian Creek. So that might not happen. So 2066, if we could use the full bit.
Is Marion flexible with the 2044?
We asked them 4 years ago, and at that time they said no. But now we're getting closer. There's been no new technologies that have come out that makes it so. They're taking a look at it because they know it will affect their end as well. They're in their planning phase for what they call Marion 2045 for their future expansions. So they have plans for things going north towards us. I don't know if they've always been, we're right on the boundary here. Here's Marion, other side of that's us. So we've kind of been in the way, I think, of some of their future expansion plans. But and they know with every expansion plan, every new building that goes up, every new house, the garbage has to go somewhere. And if we're not there, it's gonna be a lot more expensive to get rid of it. So that's where we're at.
Joe, I have a
Yeah.
question. Our last recycling program, that's just 9 months new still, has been very successful.
Great.
Very little problems with it. However, just recently, we had a large sheet of glass and a large mirror dropped off, which we couldn't do anything with. What options do residents have in order to get rid of items like that?
So those would be garbage items. So if you can't take it in fast recycling, so the sheet glass and the mirrors, that would be something that they'd have to bring onto us as garbage.
So it wouldn't be recycling even if they took it to you?
Correct, yeah, because our glass goes to the same spot that yours is gonna end up, which I think we've talked about this in the past. All the glass that's recycled here in Lynn County is picked up by Ripple Glass, taken down to Kansas City. It's either made into new beer bottles for Boulevard Brewing or into insulation for Corning. That's great that you and Mount Vernon are the two that have that program. It's going well for both communities. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to make sure that we have as much landfill space as we can, our recycling services, lines are staying the same. So residents can still drop off your paper, plastic, glass, cardboard, no charge out of County Home Road. Appliances are staying the same, $10 per unit. scrap metal, no charge, tires staying the same, $4 per tire, 5 if it's on the rim. Batteries and medical showers are still no charge. One change with the batteries, I know years past, I've always said, hey, if they're household, regular alkaline batteries, go ahead, throw them away. Everything else bring to us. Now we're just saying, bring everything to us. They're making lithium ion batteries now that look like alkalines, and it's really confusing for folks. And we still have about 2 fires a week that start in the landfill where the lithium ion batteries, they get run over by our equipment. It ignites with the air, and we take care of it before it becomes a big issue, but we just want to make sure all batteries are not going in the landfill at all. So telling folks, any battery, bring, you can't put it in your curbside containers, but bring it out to us and we will take it for free. We'll make sure it gets processed the right way. Other recycling services that are staying the same, TVs and monitors, 15 per unit. All other electronics are still no charge. You can plug it in. It's not a TV or monitor or an appliance. We'll take it for no charge. And household hazardous materials, so paints, chemicals, stains, cleaners. Spring seems like it's just about here, so fertilizer, anything that doesn't get used up, bring that out to us and we will take that for no charge whenever we're open. Our hours are still the same, 7 to 4, Monday through Friday, and then by appointment on the weekends. A couple other programs we've added in the last couple of years that have been really popular. Book recycling, hardcover and softcover books, no charge. CDs, we just started this, VHS, DVDs, and cassette tapes. There are a lot of VHS and cassette tapes out there that people are looking to get rid of. This fills up every week, so that's been a good program. And then textile recycling, we partnered with St. Vincent de Paul. They're taking the material. We fill up about 4 of those big boxes a week, and they either sell at their stores, give it to people in need, and what they can't sell or give away, and they take it to a textile recycling program in the Chicago area. And so it keeps a lot of material out of the landfill. And the one new program that we've added since I was here last year is mattress recycling. You bring a mattress out to the landfill, it's gonna cost you $20. So if you have a mattress and a load of garbage in a pickup truck, you're gonna pay $22 for the pickup truck, a flat fee, and then another $20 on top of that for the mattress. The reason being is mattresses are one of the most difficult things for us to handle in the landfill. The dozers go push it in, the contractor goes over it, and that weighs tens of thousands of pounds, and the mattresses just pop back up. And when that comes out, they bring like 40 at a time. They were coming out 2 to 3 times a month with 40 mattresses. It was a headache. So we started working with Willis Dady on a pilot program. It was successful. It's now a full-time thing. So if you take your mattresses to Willis Dady in Cedar Rapids, they only charge $10 per mattress. And we're helping subsidize it. We're giving them $10 per mattress to do that. And so if you aren't not familiar with Willis Dady, they give homeless people jobs. They now have a crew of 6 people working full-time to take apart mattresses. You can see they're pulling out the foam, the mattress toppings, they pull out the scrap metal and get all that. They have recycling end markets for it. So right now, the only recycling operation in the state of Iowa. So they did over 400 last year. They're hoping to double it this year and keep it going. So if you ever have to get rid of a mattress, save some money, take it over to Willis Dady and help you save some landfill space as well. One other partnership that we want to mention that we've added, we're working with Central Furniture Rescue. They have staged 2 big containers out of the landfill. So our staff who work the wall where the residential garbage comes in, they see somebody, people get a lot of trailers, pick up loads all the time. People come in there, they look at the load, and if someone has like one good chair or table, we ask them to pull it aside and put it in these containers because Central Furniture Rescue helps people who are emerging from homelessness into housing for the first time, help them furnish the home. So these are people who don't have anything, so giving them chairs, tables, couches, beds, things like that. And then we're bringing, tens of tons each month to this program too. So that's been working really well. Moving down to our compost facility, Mount Trashmore is going to open actually tomorrow. We're having a flash opening, a special this week because of good weather. Then it'll open April 1st, weather permitting, for the rest of the season. So that's great. Go check that out. And then also, like I said, compost is still no charge for residents. We're gonna start screening here pretty soon, so we can get that screened compost available. It's free as much as you want, as long as they have a supply. And the wood chips are also available. And those are double ground wood chips, great for landscaping. And if Fairfax needs anything for city projects, your parks, things like that, if you wood chips, let us know. We're gonna do for no charge. So lastly, just want to wrap up by saying we're here to meet the needs of Fairfax and all of Lynn County. And I want to say, I know I come here about once a year, do these updates, and I feel like I've been doom and gloom the last couple of years. Hey, prices are going up, the landfill is filling up, but I just want to say we're still going to make sure we're doing everything that we can to keep things out of the landfill, operating these programs. I just want to offer, if you guys are parts of any community groups, if you need someone to come out, we want to make sure people are aware of what's happening with the situation, what it means for when the landfill fills up. So if you need a speaker at a Rotary group, Key Club, Lions Club, things like that, please let me know. I'd love to come out and make sure everyone's aware of what's going on. Any questions?
Joe?
Appreciate it. Good to see you. Thank you.
Next, we're going to move on. We have a couple of public hearings. The first one concerns our SRF environmental considerations. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Did we receive any comments from the public in advance?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay, Shane's this is a little bit different than some of our typical public hearings. More is required. And Shane is going to lead us through that information.
Yep, so as Mayor Beer said, this is a public hearing for SRF for the environmental review for the well 4 and observation well project over on the Belknap property. So I did, if anybody in the audience wants to look, we've got a few plan sets over here on the table in the project manual. Project, I think almost everybody's aware of it, those that may not be. The project is located behind Mikey's Ice Cream, the old Dairy Queen. That's the Belknap property. The well 4 is located immediately behind Mikey's Ice Cream. And the observation wells on the far end of that property, the far west, southwest end of the property. The well 4 will become a production well for the city once the treatment facility plan is done. The observation well is being installed so we can collect data on that to figure out how well we can utilize that property for a well field in the future. So that's kind of a general overview of the project. In project description. So the purpose of the project is to ensure that the city of Fairfax has a safe and reliable source of drinking water for the next 20 years or more. Proposed improvements. Proposed project includes one of 2 proposed phases for the construction of drinking water infrastructure. Phase 1 includes the drilling and development of the new production well number 4. Well number 4 will be developed and test pumped, but the submersible well pump will not be installed as part of this project. The project also includes an observation well on the far west side of the property to determine site suitability for the future well field. Phase 2 of the environmental for this project and the environmental review of the project includes the construction of the new water supply treatment facility, possibly the new addition of well 5 if that's determined necessary. And the installation of the appropriate water mains, sanitary sewer lines to service the treatment facility. Phase 2 is still in development and will have its own separate engineering review at that time. Alternatives that were considered for this project. Several areas around the city were originally considered for possible well field sites to expand the city's source water locations or the well locations. The location of the well field sites are limited to locations where it's feasible for a well from the Silurian aquifer to produce adequate for the years to come. The reason for selection of the proposed alternative. So the no action alternative is not viable due to the city needing a reliable source of drinking water to meet the current and future population needs. Various locations and options were considered for a new water supply. The city has identified one location as the primary location for the well field site. The project location was selected for the availability of the land. The property has been donated to the city. It's approximately 180 acres in size. The property is located just west of Highway 151 and south of the Union Pacific Railroad tracks. Additionally, the project location was selected for expected hydrogeology, proximity to the existing infrastructure, meeting appropriate separation distances, and general engineering criteria as well as minimization of the impacts to the environment. Positive environmental impacts. So positive environmental effects will be maintaining water quality for the citizens of Fairfax. Catastrophic loss of water supply could result in citywide health impacts due to a lack of sanitation and the use of other water sources that may not meet federal drinking water standards. Summary of the reasons for concluding no significant impact with the environmental review. There's a list of these. I'll just run through them. The project will not significantly affect the pattern and type of land use, industrial, commercial, agricultural, recreational, residential, or growth and distribution of the population to the city of Fairfax. The project will not conflict with local, regional, state land use plans and policies. The project will not impact wetlands. The project will not affect threatened and endangered species. If any state or federally listed threatened or endangered species or communities are found during the planning or construction phase, additional studies and or mitigation may be required. The project will not displace population, alter the character of existing residential areas, or convert significant farmland to non-agricultural purposes. The project will not affect the 100-year floodplain. Project will not have effect on parklands, preserves, other public lands, or areas of recognized scenic or recreational value. No historic properties will be adversely affected by the proposed project. However, if project's activity uncover any items that might be of archaeological, historical, or architectural interest, or if important new archaeological, historical, or architectural data should be encountered in the project APD, the applicant should make reasonable efforts to avoid further impacts to the property until an assessment can be made by an individual to get the Secretary of the Interior's professional qualification standards. The project will not have significant adverse effects on the local ambient air quality, provided the applicant takes reasonable precautions to prevent the discharge of visible emissions of fugitive dust beyond the lot line of the property during the proposed project. The project will not have a significant adverse effect upon local ambient noise levels, surface water quantity, groundwater quality or quantity, and water supply. No significant impact to surface water quality, fish, shellfish, wildlife, or their natural habitat is expected provided that an NPDES general permit number 2 for stormwater discharge associated with construction activities is obtained and the terms of which are provided by. So with that, Mayor, you can move on to, if there's any additional comment periods.
Okay. Does council have any questions or discussion on the environmental review?
I have one question. On the second attachment to the Fairfax EID, the environmental information document. I'm not sure how to interpret it under population. I'll just read what it says. Maybe you have that. Community description. The population of Fairfax, according to the 2020 US Census, was 2,828. Design population equivalent for the year 2042 is projected to be 4,917. What does that? Putting this well in is what it's projected to handle up to 4,900.
No, so what they do is they do projections based on, the growth and other things in the area. So that is just a projected number that the city will be at. And at the time we did it, I think it was 20 years. Okay. So this was done like 3 years ago, but excuse me. So the projected population in 2042 for the city is 4,900.
Okay.
And so that kind of looks at what are your demands? What are your water demands, needs? So, when we look at this, we talked about, we have wells 1 and 2 in 20 years. Most likely one, or if not both of them, will be out of service. So that's one reason for it, but also the demand. And part of it is, the city's growth. So we look at that. So And obviously, there's also industrial commercial growth that comes into play too. But the population is what is projected. So it's not a number that the well will serve, it's the projected number. So do we need to add a well to make sure we have enough supply to meet that demand?
So that doesn't take into account what would eventually be a temporary 4 wells. There's no, we don't know what that's gonna be until that test is finished.
Yeah, until it's drilled and then they'll, you know, draw on it and then they'll draw on the, so we can kind of figure out what we can expect from well 4. And then we have the observation well, so then we can kind of look at, when we're drawing down on well 4, we can monitor the observation well. We can get an idea, obviously it will be exact, it will be a lot better idea than we have right now. But we can anticipate for maybe a 5th and possibly a 6th well out there.
Any other questions or discussion from the council? Do we have any questions or comments from the public, either in person or by conference call? I see Frank Bellin is here. Did you have any comments, Frank?
No, just observing.
Thank you for being here. Any comments? Public? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And we will move on to the next public hearing, item number 8 on the agenda. This is a public hearing on the proposed plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for proposed well number 4. Shane?
Same project, recall that last month's meeting,
Oh, excuse me, Shane, I'm going to open the public hearing.
yes.
Thank you.
So at last month's meeting, we filed the plan and specs, we put them out for bid, so they're currently out for bid right now. It's Wednesday the 19th, so next Wednesday, we'll open the bids. So we're having a public hearing for the plans and specs. As I mentioned, you know, it's proposed well number 4 on the Belknap property and proposed observation well. For the site work, it follows the standard SUDAS specs, and see supplements to that. Section 331113 for the, is a spec for the well construction. And, it's a, typical unit price bid. The engineer's estimate of, probable cost is $1.201 million. And, they said we're looking to get bids, we definitely got quite a bit of interest next Wednesday, so. And I believe we'll be at the meeting on March 25th, then we'll be awarding the contract if they come in and get some good numbers. We have had a couple of amendments with the project to just address some questions that came up, but nothing really specific that stands out, so.
Cynthia, did we receive any comments from the public? No. Prior to the meeting, does council have any questions or discussion? As any public, either here in person or by phone, have any questions or comments regarding this project? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. We'll move on to item number 9, which is to consider a resolution providing final approval to and confirmation of the plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for water supply well number 4. Is there a motion?
Motion. Second.
Roll call, please. Nick?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Shane. Moving on to item number 10. Resolution to approve our insurance renewal quotes, and Charlie is here to discuss those changes with
Good
us.
evening. Madam Mayor, Council, Charlie Garwood, Wilson Heights Insurance, representing Provident Insurance and Iowa Municipal for the city. Cynthia's put together the proposal for this year's insurance, the quotes, the comparison to last year, and I'll go down really quick each line item and give a brief description where the changes are, excuse me, being affected. So on the property, we see about a $10,000 increase from last year to this year, on the keynotes. Going through, the coverages on our buildings, the representative of the city, we added another $900,000 in building coverage. So that offsets makes up the difference between the two. And of course, there was some small rate increases in there. The liability for the city, the next line, anytime just jump in, if you got any questions on any of these. Liability is just a rate increase, from the previous year. Inland Marine is the equipment, mobile equipment that the city uses. We had some, added equipment. Crime, that's just a rate increase, that's our crime policy. Employee theft. Automobile, once again, we added vehicles on which offsets the premium. Public officials and our errors and emissions, that's just a rate differential, along with the umbrella. Cyber, once again, that's just a rate increase. Workers' compensation, this one's big. Good job to the city of Fairfax. The workers' compensation went down $9,000. That's due to our claims. For one, we had an experience modification where they take the premium times modification factor. We were at 1.28, that dropped down to about 0.77. So we've had no claims, wood guys. And then, of course, they did change some rating classes for the cost per hundred payroll. The fire department accident policy is the same, that's a 3-year policy, so it's locked in for 3. So you can see the total premium difference from 2024 to 2025. And then some of the keynotes down below that I put in there that on our policy, we have a $10,000 deductible, and that is a per occurrence, not a per building. I think last year there was some confusion on how the deductible is going to be applied once we increased it to 10,000. No cosmetic damage exclusions, where any metal roof that's hail damage, looks like a golf ball, any surfaces. A lot of companies will put a cosmetic exclusion, they won't pay for it because it's still doing its job. There is none, they will pay to replace it. One of the larger ones for the city of Fairfax, the fireworks detonation charge is covered, or detonation coverage is included. And then the fire department equipment, that's everything the fire department owns. Their gear, the bottle, everything they have, its replacement cost at no limit. It's just whatever they have to replace it in the event of a loss. Just hitting some of the key points, so if there's any questions, feel free.
Councilman, any questions for Charlie? Hearing none, consider a resolution to approve the renewal quote.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please. Tom?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Charlie.
thank you guys, it's a pleasure doing business with you.
Move on to item number 11, discussion and possible motion concerning Heartland Heights lot number 98. Don't see either of the developers here. Chris or Shane, do you want to talk about this?
I think Bruce and Shane are just looking for release of that lot, not through engineering, just through the city. It doesn't have to come to council. I kind of thought Bruce would be here.
They're just saying that they don't think it'll be impacted either way by releasing that lot while we're waiting for them to finish up the items up.
They don't have it's sold or a builder or anything.
They just want to have the opportunity to sell it. And you don't think it'll be any issue? You think they're gonna still finish their punch list items?
The only thing is they've got that man right at the downstream side of the bridge. Just told me to get that taken care of. And that's where they.
Did you put a timeline or when it's supposed to be done, understand? And I know it's been going on for 3 or 4 years, at least.
I've been down and there's a few minor things.
Stuff that we had from the other ones is
Yeah.
basically nothing.
It shouldn't take them long. It's just matter of,
Some of that's why they're related, hard to do that in winter.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff you can't even move it now. Anytime with the board, It's probably a little wet, maybe we have to wait a few weeks or more. But the thing is, if they don't get the revetment in and they sell the lot, it's gonna be a building, then they're gonna bring the revetment in across their farm field.
Well, we won't building permit on it. Even though much less is done.
Even with revetment, I'm sorry, noted on there, just how are they gonna get it on each side after the bridge is done?
I just wanted to get done, and I don't want it to get put in the back burner again, I mean, they're almost there, let's just finish it. And that's my point.
The revetment, the seeding, just to clean up, like, pretty minimal stuff.
We have nothing to do with it, they have to maintain and everything.
Yeah,
It comes to us, so it's up to them to get it done as fast as they want to get it off their hands.
We don't do anything out there, all there.
So they're wanting to get it done. That's what they're gonna do it, that's up to them.
My biggest concern is how they're getting the riprap over the existing trail that they just poured.
Hopefully,
Yeah, I don't know.
So the possible motion would be to release the hold on this, the building permits on this lot.
Well, the hold on the sale of lot, I would release the building permit.
Okay.
My advice, my
Wouldn't
recommendation.
release it until they have the revetment down, yeah.
All-
Building permit.
All these
sale.
items done. Once there's a building there, then there's very, very limited access.
Would that frustrate a potential buyer?
That's really not our concern. I'm confident they're gonna get it done before June.
The faster they get this done, the faster they sell lots, the faster their homes, the more they make money, so I don't really think it's them dragging their feet, I think it's primarily weather, getting into construction season, so I don't have a problem selling the lot. But like Chris said, you know, holding broke building permit, still gotta sell the lot first, and then we can cross that bridge after that.
Was that a motion?
That is
Second. Motion for,
allowing the release to sell the lot,
but holding a building permit.
yes.
Have a first and a second, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you. This might as well stay there. Item number 12 is to consider a resolution concerning the plat of survey Twin Oaks Lake and sanitary sewer easement. I see Chris is here and also the property owners are here. Wakehouse?
All right, yeah, so if I understand this correctly, we're looking to give property owners along Park Street, access to the pond. You guys are installing a portion of the pond
we're selling to
association.
the Twin Oaks.
Yeah. Yeah, they sent this in a month and a half ago. Shane took a look at it. We have a sewer easement back there, so he asked for or we have a sewer main back there. The city asked for a sewer easement across the sewer main. They presented us with that, so I think everybody's happy with everything. Ready for it.
Where's this at?
The pond.
Quarry.
West side of the clear.
Okay. I couldn't figure out.
Well, the resolution, Chris will do what for us here?
It'll allow them to split that, sell that portion off to the association.
And it establishes a sewer.
Right.
On that part.
Establish the sewer easement.
as long as we have sewer easement, I'm fine with it.
That a motion?
That's motion, yeah, I should just say motion for that, yes.
Second.
We had a second?
Yeah.
Roll call please, yes.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 13, status updates on the West Cemetery Road intersection project and the bridge project.
So. We've been moving along on this project, coordinating with the property owners. I got appraisals done for the properties along the north side of West Cemetery Road, and I think those were sent out to the property owners late last week. We submitted check plans to the DOT, which is part of the, review process for the bridge project last week. And, by about 85–90% complete on the Western Ontario Road intersection realignment project. So what we are proposing to do is, if we can get all the acquisitions finalized here in the next 3 to 4 weeks, at the April council meeting, what we hope to do is finalize the acquisitions for the easements in the right of way of the project, and then put the intersection and West Cemetery Road intersection realignment project out for bids at the April 8th council meeting. So then what that does is that allows us then to start construction on the intersections project, hopefully in August. And have 3 to 4 months of work that we can get done this summer, fall. We can finish that up in the spring of 26, and then around May 1st, we don't have the exact date yet, but around May 1st, start the bridge project next year. And then by the end of next year, have that. So I'm still working through some things to make that happen, but that's what we're shooting for. So we just kind of want to give you a status update and let you know that next month, this time at the council meeting, we'll have the project out and ready for your consideration for bids. One downside, we don't like to bid this late in the year. A lot of contractors have work lined up. But trying to get everything done and since we got 2 projects and then take us 2 seasons or a good portion of 2 seasons. I think we want to try to get it done unless you see otherwise, but so we'll see how the bids turn out, hopefully they turn out good. If we do get out the bids next month, and we can move forward.
What's your guess on for bidding late in the season compared to bidding, earlier in the previous year? How much of an increase is that?
I don't know if it's an increase or if it's just, you may not get as many people interested in it. 'Cause usually December, January, and February, contractors are trying to line up work. But, hopefully we can set it up and we can give them an opportunity to, if they're not completely bored, give them an opportunity to at least get it started, give them some flexibility and then get it wrapped up in the spring, so.
So you'd be able to look at once the bids come back to see if they're all high because they're all booked up.
But yeah, prices are, the prices are significantly above what, what we've got, planned for it, then yeah, the city can reject the bids and rebid it. Or if you actually don't get any interest, then we just have to bid it in the winter and it just pushes everything back.
Yeah, push it back 2
So,
seasons, not,
yeah.
Just not knowing how much money that would entail, but.
Yeah, it may not be anyone. It likely will impact, the interest, but.
Any other questions for Shane on the updates? This is just a status item. Don't hear any other questions, Shane.
Okay.
Thank you. The next 3 items on our agenda are simply to set public hearing dates. Item number 14. Set a public hearing date to vacate the existing parking easement on the city's property located along the north side of West Cemetery Road, just west of 98 West Cemetery Road. That public hearing date would be April 8th. We're just setting the date for that. I need a motion.
Motion. Second.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 15, again, is to set a public hearing date, also April 8th, to establish a parking easement and an access easement on the city's property located along the north side of West Cemetery Road, just west of 98 West Cemetery Road. So obviously these are related to the same project. Need a motion to establish that hearing date of April 8th.
I motion.
Second, okay, roll call, Tom.
Aye.
Thank you. One final resolution to set a public hearing date of April 8th for revisions to the Fairfax zoning code.
Motion.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Thank you. Details to follow on April 8th. All right, item number 17 on the agenda. Due to some changes in consideration, there will be no discussion on this item tonight. Potentially we'll see it next month instead, so no action. Item number 18. Consider resolution to enter into a 28D agreement with Lynn County for police services. I'm good, you want.
This is just, we already talked about their rate going up to $45 an hour. We went through budget. I believe we discussed leaving the hours at 18 a week. And so this would be entering into this 2080 with the sheriff's department for those.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 19, discussion and possible motion concerning street sweeping proposals. Lynn's gonna fill us in on that. Please.
So this is just our normal, what we throw out there every year, just either street sweep in the spring after when there's snow events. They went for 3 quotes, LL Belling, Boozers, and we got a local guy, CR, Lawn Care, that gave us a quote for it. He last year purchased a sweeper, so he's staying close. So I only got the 2 back, kept trying to pursue the Belling one, then kind of gave up on it towards the end, so we never did get anything back from them. But in the past history, they've always been a little higher, not to say that they would have been cheaper this year, I don't. So of the 2, Booster was just a hair cheaper, so he's done it in the past several years, so I kind of think keep working with him. Keep that going for that spring cleanup.
Did we put a maximum on there too or something like that?
We, Belling, or those are kind of a, not to exceed so much money, but I kind of oversee that, and so far we've never had a problem. 1 year it was kind of getting up there and we were kind of getting a little concerned, but it was a bad winter event, so it was probably was, so.
Your monitoring, obviously, okay.
Yeah, so we kind of work with them and watch them and that and so forth. The nice thing is that the local guy here has a street sweeper now, so most of the time it's gonna be kind of across the highway, so if we do later on have something that we need something quick, we have an opportunity to use him as a quick reference to, or a quick guy to get in. And that we've never had in the past, so that might save the town a little bit longer before you end up having to purchase that street sweeper. So there's a need now, but he might be a blessing in disguise. And then nice and close.
So don't we have a brush for the skid steer still?
Oh, yeah, but it's not the same.
No.
It does an awesome job. For cleaning up little stuff here and there, and we'll use it in combination with Ventrac and pickup. And we've been, the last several years, have been cleaning up kind of the old part of town near the shop, kind of with our smaller machine. And kind of helping keep costs down every weekend, so we'll continue to do that. But we keep thinking too, like the last couple of years, I keep thinking actually getting a broom for the skid loader that would not pick up to kind of help in events like the builder are making a mess, but I still, one of these days, you'll see me coming in and asking for that equipment.
Not today.
So we got Klooster to be my choice for this event.
Is Klusner, I mean, is he Farley, Iowa? No offense to Farley, I had to look up where it was at. Do we pay for them when they leave or are they local-ish?
They usually do, like, I think they even have it on here, they usually do it as one travel time. And what they do is they try to get as many small communities in the area as they can. So then they kind of split that up, throughout to keep their costs at a lower cost. I know the last few years they've done Walford, I think they've done, this year, not 100%, but they've done several communities around this area to kind of help. So,
Well, for the project, you know, 148 versus 155, but if the other person's local, we're not paying for travel. Would the project come out cheaper with CRL lawn?
I can't, I don't know, it all depends on the hours that they're. I wouldn't think so, because 148 is still lower.
I don't ever remember seeing an invoice that had a
Mobilization.
travel, mobilization cost. It was
Yeah, I
just
don't-
it
in
was
the
just the
past.
rate.
Yeah, but the past few hasn't had it separated, so
Yeah.
I really don't, I don't know.
If they're charging a mobilization cost, I think it's in their hourly.
Just 148 an hour.
Any questions for them?
Having a new company kind of do it without any guidance, that kind of scares me a little bit, but I know the guy, so that kind of helps offset that, so. But I still think I prefer police here.
And you'll communicate what Tom said, the not to exceed.
Yeah, we watch them. And this year, we actually don't have that much out there, so I don't think it's gonna be terrible.
Feel that brine.
The brain, we never even, we use some here and there, and we're still kind of experimenting with it, and we'll probably be experimenting next year with it. But it's helped in some spots, so, our last two winters have been pretty easy on us. So,
How many years have we been using Cleaner to sweep? It's been quite a few, hasn't it?
at least 10.
Yeah.
I would guess.
Since I've been on council, yeah.
It's been pretty much every year since we sold the street sweeper, which I wanna say. I bet it's been probably about 12 to 15 years that they've been doing it.
Any other questions for Lynn? If not,
I'll make a motion to approve Cleaner.
thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tom, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 20, consider resolution to approve employee compensation. Cynthia, we've added some people, right?
Yeah, the bulk of the changes are the park kids. And then this change up here, it was my mistake. We had two seasonal part-time kind of that could work all the way around. I took the wrong one off. And kept the wrong one on, so I just needed to take Jaden off and put. Brian sign on.
Any questions for Cynthia other than that? Now, I need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please. Nick?
Aye.
I have to abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Maybe you can keep down your sport list.
He's giving me nothing. No.
Okay, item 21, discussion and possible motion concerning weed control, quotes.
Okay.
So we've gotten, two quotes. We asked, for three. As you can see, Lynn Co-op, did not respond to our ask. CRL, who is our current, person that does it now, has offered another 3-year contract. In the last 3 years, we also had a contract with them. This is a 15% increase over the first year that he did, the 3-year contract, and it's got a $100 increase each year for the next 3 years. And then we also have True Green, who is bid it. You can see that, 2025 quote, and then in their agreement, it says that they'll not do more than a 3% increase, for each of the next 2 years. So I have both of them there for you. If there was no increase, this is what it would be for, the next 3 years. With the 3% increase, you can see what it would be for the next 3 years. By the time we got to the third year, we're about $1,200 difference between the two quotes. Talking with Lynn, it is our recommendation that we continue with CRL Lawn Care. And the reason is, for as long as they've been doing weed control for the city of Fairfax, they're familiar with our sports schedule, they're familiar with all of our park schedules. Chris has been doing it long enough, he really does not require much of oversight when he's doing it. We feel there's probably gonna be some staff exposure, or not exposure, but expense with a new program right now. Um, Making sure that they know exactly where they need to go and that sort of thing, and get up to date on our sports programs and when we're in the parks, when we're not in the parks. That is the recommendation from the Parks Department and from the Maintenance Department.
And Cynthia or Justin, can you remind me, how we're obligated to take low bids, or is there a threshold, or?
I think that's just for capital improvement projects, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you can pick whichever bid you want, especially with some explanation in the minutes about why.
Okay.
Has there been
Double checking.
discussion in the past over getting our own equipment and doing it? I mean, when you look at 75,000 over thereabouts over 3 years. You know, obviously you have, maybe you have chemical license already, some of you guys do, but you get equipment, boom sprayers, whatever it may be, I don't know if that's been talked about in the
There's
past.
been talked, a lot of it goes to, which kind of scares me, in some of the liability. Is if we do it, you know, if somebody gets sick for it, or claims to get sick for it, like dog park or whatever. Then it's kind of exposes us to liability, or if you hire it out, it kind of throws it back on them. So that's been a huge concern of mine. Equipment wise, we don't really have anything that what we would have, right? But basically what you would have for your.
Right. And that would be a purchase, I'm just looking long term as an idea, maybe it's been discussed in the past, but.
Some minimal research, I'd say, but most of it is liability that can scare me on that, but.
And part of your training for chemical certification would cover that as far as liability and being certified.
Yeah, that
to
covers
spray,
your
to
license,
mix.
but somebody actually makes a claim.
Well, if we hire a contractor and somebody gets injured, I'll guarantee the city's gonna be named also. It's not gonna take our liability away.
Yeah, it's not really from the injury.
Right, which is.
But when they're spraying, they're not spraying when there's fast baseball games, soccer games going on. Obviously, they're doing it like no one's, for the most part, is around. I just throw it out there as far as something to think about down the road. And you know, anything can happen, they can be doing as needed. If chemicals, boy, how diluted is it, the quality of CRL, I'm gonna say it's good because you keep wanting to use them and they're doing a good job with the weeds, you know, any of them. True green, what? Can you get a better bang for your buck? Possibly down the road, something to look
If
at.
True Green can't handle my yard, I don't think they can handle the city. Oh, did I say that out loud, that they were a pain in the ass? Whoops, my bad.
One other thing I would put in there. 3 years ago, when we accepted the 3-year bid from CRL, there was some talk that maybe Chris would be retiring, that was his last contract. And that was the reason for the 3-year bid. Obviously, he's decided not to do that, and he's got another 3-year bid up there. In 2027, who knows what happens?
Yeah,
We may need to look at another provider or have the city take a look at it in 3 years.
Because I know he is.
That's possible.
Yeah, he's seriously thinking about it, he don't know.
Yeah,
He's like some of the rest of us, but just don't know when that date's there.
well, it's tough to pull that trigger sometimes,
So
but
knowing that a couple years ahead of time, maybe that changes. Whatever after the 3 years over.
Yeah.
What to do, we need to know.
Yeah.
2 ahead of time.
and so instead of in March of 2027 or 2028, trying to figure it out, maybe we start, working on that.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
It's good to have a backup.
Any other questions for Joe or Lynn? Not, need a motion?
Motion to go with CRL. On a 3-year plan.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would say that True Green, was very earnest, I thought, in proposing their bid. And, sat down and had a conversation, with John a couple of times and,
I agree, I think the same thing, I was very impressed.
yeah. He is very professional, I thought.
Okay, let's move on to item number 22. Consider resolutions for some transfers. Cynthia?
These are both, capital improvement money that the 91,000 we had borrowed for the water main, Eagle View Water Main project. We have decided to delay that 2 years or whatever. And so we're just moving it, in the bond, bond purposes, was also for the intersection. So we're just moving that money to the intersection project. And then, the water tower project and the bridge, we did a geo bond with just those two purposes. And this is the amount that we still have in the water tower project, and Shane has given me an estimate of what they think are the remaining expenses. So we're moving that, the money that we don't need to the bridge project. Those are the only two transfers in this.
Any questions for Cynthia?
I think we already talked about those transfers too.
Yes.
A while back. Now
Yeah,
just
it's just making it official.
Hearing no questions, need a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 23. A status of negotiations with Fairfax State Savings Bank, possible property purchase. Dustin.
Good evening, council. I've been talking with Patrick Slater and we had a meeting and this is his counter proposal and I'm requesting guidance, your guidance on how you want me to respond. I have went over the lots with the staff and we're concerned about the cost of fixing it up already. There's a couple of us who don't think the parking lots are worth it, but that's our opinion. So the catty corner proposal. That's your call. When I've looked them up on, when I pulled the data from the county assessors, the information's there. That one was purchased in 88, one was purchased in 91. And I just think the cost per square foot is not equitable to what they're worth, even with the current assessment, but that's what I need your guidance on. How do you want me to proceed?
I was a little confused, so I asked Dustin a question. The second lot that's now being asked that the city purchase it as well is actually two separate parcels, and I didn't understand that. And it's actually across the street from the larger lot that we're looking at for library expansion. Just clarify that a little bit.
Mr. Slater is interested in fixing up downtown and he's trying to find various ways to do that.
So the one lot, is that the bank's the old overflow lot, I'm assuming?
Yes,
Across the street, yes.
yes.
The little one.
Yeah, that's two lots, or is that just one lot? That is two lots, okay. That's what I thought it was gonna argue.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a number of steps that have to happen with this process. Either we do it on our end or the bank has to do it on their end, because in order to give the Legion their portion of it, whatever we decide the sale price is, or where the bank and Legion decides to do it prior to us purchasing it, that's what I need to ascertain with the bank still. But either way, we need to cover the cost of subdivision, or they do, and finalize the agreement with the Legion too. That's part of that.
So they're using 331 Vanderbilt, 328 Vanderbilt, the price based on the lot across the street, not the assessed value, which is 6,000 or 8,000, I think, is it?
That's
It
correct.
says 17,030.
328 and 330 is the parking lot catty corner, and then 331 is the lot right next to the Legion.
30's on the east side, 31's on the west.
Now they did one of the ways he wants to do it is he wants to give the money back on his side. So that's part of his goal with this deal is, we pay him and then he gives us donations back. So,
Getting him to 132. And then
yes,
he gives donations back.
yes, but that doesn't include the Legion's portion, which is something I need to clarify with him and, work out with him. Cause if the subdivision's something that concerns me. Whether we do it on their side and make them do it, or we do it on our end.
And what kind of cost is that?
Chris, maybe you can help me out with that, cost of a subdivision of the lot.
Depends how you do it, but flattening it, not Shane would probably help you out better than me. For a flat. Just a flat.
Just to
Flat.
split it off.
Yeah, do a subdivision.
It's not.
If you do a
something,
flat
just
survey,
flat
it's
survey.
flat,
Yeah, it's not that much.
$5,000 lots.
I think 5,000
Okay.
So. And what's up for question is who pays that approximate $5,000 fee?
Yep,
And what's the purchase price for the 328 and the 330? I just see the square foot price. I don't see the calculation of the purchase price.
he wanted us to, his proposal is that his counter proposals, we purchase the two lots catty corner to the bank. For the same price per square foot.
Right, but what is
What's
the
my
calculated price?
Oh, there's no price in here.
I didn't do that.
So you're saying he wants it to be paid for at the 12.19 per square foot
That's
for the
correct,
two smaller lots opposite?
that's correct.
At, 6,400 square feet? Is that right?
Yeah,
Yep,
That's what I couldn't follow.
Do we ask them to get an appraised value for the lots?
we could.
That'd be 78,000 for
I
that.
was just gonna
Yes.
say, cause eyeballing that was over $64,000 for that lot. I feel that's
Both lots put together.
yes, so one is 5,200, the other's 1,200, that's 6,400. If you're doing it at 12.19, even rounding down to 10, that's 64,000. Plus another, 12.8.
why are they connected to the deal?
I don't know. That's what he responded with. I don't.
But isn't he, if I understand, he wants the lot caddy corner built, so that's where his parking would move to. Right?
Yes,
Parking caddy or the parking lot caddy, right? So his employees would move right next to his building. And then he wants to get rid of these two lots, 328 and 330.
what confuses me is that he owns those lots anyway.
Yeah.
But he wants to get rid of them to the city, but then he wants the parking lot caddy to replace the parking that he has right
Do you
now.
wanna pull it up on that?
Yeah.
kind of show?
Some of my interpretation behind it, I think it's a little big, that then he can still park his employees on the city property.
Right, yeah, that's my interpretation.
That's kind of, that's still, but I guess we'll use it for.
That's what it was.
Whether it's right or wrong,
That sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a banker.
you get driven expense and it's now a problem.
Maintenance.
Maintenance.
So,
And then when someone slips on the ice and falls on our property,
Because of the sidewalks and the way that it's laid out. The ones on the east side, personally, I wouldn't recommend it. Unless it's something that the library was thinking of doing anyway.
I ain't gonna fault someone for trying, but I don't see. I never, always start high, what's the worst that happens, you end up going lower, but I just don't see a benefit to the city for purchasing the properties. On the east side of the interview.
Should be about 78,000.
For that, yeah.
13.
The library, would they ever looking at
The
that?
parking lot caddy he's
What's
talking
that?
about.
Were you
Are
ever
these two
looking at
lots?
it?
No,
Yeah, I know the library.
Why is it going?
But no, the library does not want it.
Oh, there it is.
It's technically north side of yeah. And then it's that.
Right across.
so Dustin, the reason I was thinking an appraisal, because bullet 5 and the bank's counter offer is really weird.
Well, it's a,
Because otherwise you just donate. I get the other two lots, but why not just donate the lot?
Cause he gets a write off. I write off of some kind.
You get to write up every year for 10 years.
But if it's appraised a lot lower, that's what you have to write off, be donated a lot.
I don't completely disagree with your assessment.
He's looking for us to spend $200,000 on, I'm just gonna say 2 parking lots, because it's 2 parking lots.
Yeah.
Well, you can donate $200,000 to them.
Well, that's what it's probably gonna cost. I'm not a public works guy, but just to fix up the sidewalk and get the lot to where it's
I mean,
safe.
In all seriousness, I don't see a reason to do it.
Do you have any guidance for Dustin on this item number 2, temporary parking allowance, if we worked out everything else?
See the part 2 about when they acquire additional parking, where's he planning on getting additional parking? On the counter offer.
Oh, number 2,
Yeah. They use the lot until he gets more parking.
Well, he's working for ways to try to increase parking for his staff.
With my
That's
son.
where he wants to use.
He wants to use that, us paying for the use, because he has no place to put more parking.
Right.
That's why it didn't make any sense.
correct, and they need it during the day, which is usually when the library also needs to.
Yeah. I mean, he is interested in finding more parking. Where he finds it, I don't know.
On the
Bulldoze.
city property that we.
South Slope.
My house.
Yeah, that's part that confused me, I was like. There's no.
I tried to copy and paste while also trying to make it make sense.
Yeah, I mean, my guidance would be, I don't think the city's interested in purchasing the, I guess like 328, 330 Vanderbilt, which is, yeah. Yes, thank you, the one on the northeast side.
What kind of sidewalk improvements need to be done on that corner, 331?
Significant.
So,
Well, you have to do both sides.
Like,
Yeah,
like,
you have, match it up to the, library.
When I walk home
do
at
both
night, I walk the street that.
It all needs replacement
Okay.
before the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could we send them a notice before we close?
That spot right back there where those 3 cars are parked in the upper left. That's about a 2-foot drop off.
is that for the parking, the covered parking for the,
For the garage.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just the big concrete pad.
Yeah, you can see the concrete. That was where the garage used to be. Right where those 3 cars.
So there was originally some talk about him working on the improvements for the sale.
That's one
What's
option.
the thoughts on that, where he does the sidewalk improvements? Or
You would probably want to do the sidewalk and the whole lot improvement at the same time, I would assume.
I doubt that
It would be low.
he'd make those
yeah,
improvements.
I mean, that would be a significant investment. I'm trying to think, I lived on a corner lot and we had to replace all of our sidewalk. Gosh, that was like 7,000-8,000, so you're asking to put, in today's dollars, probably 15 grand, ripping out concrete, putting it in, make sure, I'm gonna assume you'd have to make sure it's ADA compliant on the intersection, going into the street both ways, so I mean. There's probably a serious cost in
It's
this.
kind of where my head was thinking, stick to the 132,000 number that you've already authorized me and then go over all the sidewalk costs and all the stuff the city's gonna have to incur $5,000 to, do the replatting.
so why?
He's unwilling to do the replanting, because that's what council wanted them
I
to do
said
that.
that, that's what I thought was great, because they would do it.
Why do anything other than the sidewalk at this time, as of
So,
right now?
so
Other than
we
redoing the
have to
sidewalk, what else has to
Up
be?
there by where the cars are at, you gotta.
Yeah, where
get
those
that
cars
back
are
up.
at, you have to get that fixed. That's a hazard.
There's
The city owns that.
Yeah.
That needs to be
You're
fixed.
eventually gonna
I
have.
mean, like a
to
level
rip
out grade
that up.
throughout.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, who knows?
Even if we patch it up to make it more
Does
level.
it have to be done?
I don't, Lynn,
Right.
could you just put a fence up there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Without doing anything to it?
Yeah, but you still have a lot of uneven lot there.
Well, absolutely, but I'm talking about, instead of having that 2 foot drop off, which is a disaster waiting to happen, could you put a fence there? And not have to mess with that right now?
Yeah, you put a barrier along there.
Is this cement, that old?
You could.
Garage door or
L-shaped.
higher?
What's that?
Maintenance, that old garage.
Oh, wait a minute, I thought
It's
the
higher.
police was
Higher,
gonna
yes.
own part of
And
that.
there you have to plow it, you get.
So that'd be the other concern, if you're doing
I don't know.
the split right there, that's their access through, then you're gonna start with that drop. It's a goofy layout on that.
I don't know.
Your best bet's gonna be to negotiate what it's gonna cost for somebody else to do it. And then you gain some money by us. Yeah, nothing cheaper.
But, okay, so going forward, the bank probably isn't gonna do anything with this lot right now, other than eventually having to do the sidewalk, right?
That's one.
They wouldn't spend all that money to redo it
Yeah,
No.
right now.
they should be doing the sidewalks now.
Okay, yes, so sidewalks that has to be done, but anything else could be a temporary fix that, why spend a bunch of money to redo everything but the sidewalks when you put up a fence for right now or something just to mitigate the liability that Fairfax would have until it's figured out what's gonna happen right there.
It may work except for your split off or the weed. That might screw that up a little bit, for the safety aspect.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes,
You don't have to dig the whole thing up.
so at this point, the bank has to pay for replat, stick to the $132,000 offer. And city figures out the lot after that.
Basically, that was our original.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't like.
He's selling it as is for 132.
Yeah, there's gonna be significant cost to the city
Yeah.
to redo this when the time comes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or anyone.
And, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And assuming that the city eventually gets it, it's gonna be at our expense. And whoever looks to purchase that might be saying the same thing, look, I got a lot of investment that I'm gonna have to do to make this suitable for, if someone else were to do something to it.
Well,
So-
and even if they keep owning it, there's gonna be.
And I mean, let's be honest,
Things
I'm
that have
not
to be
trying to, be a jerk or anything, but if this is anybody else, we'd be sending them notices and the
Right.
sidewalk has to be fixed.
Yes.
Right.
No, we want that down there.
You don't think so?
No, because all them sidewalks down there.
Every sidewalk in the old
Then
park.
send it
Except,
Except the one spot where Debbie talked about immediately.
That is true.
What's the proposed or the idea of selling to the Legion? Where is that line at approximately? Does anybody have an idea
18,000 is the estimate I was given by.
of where on that?
Next to the building, hugging the building.
So see where the
Square
driveway
footage.
entrance
Yeah,
is?
right to the edge of that driveway,
It
and
goes
straight to the red car.
north, so we can park
Okay,
on the north side where those two silver, the truck and
So
the
the
van
Legion would
are.
have half of carrying that slab out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's where I don't know.
And they
how
wouldn't
well
want a
the
fence
would work.
there, yeah, cause they're gonna wanna
Right.
drive.
That's my question, I don't know how that's gonna work with the fence, I don't know.
yeah, I'm just,
Well, unless the Legion doesn't buy it right away,
Right.
then at least you stop somebody. Every time I'm out there, I'm so afraid somebody's gonna step off of that thing.
I can't believe anybody has a drone off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe they have it, we don't know.
Good.
I will be meeting with them tomorrow and I will reaffirm where your stance is. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you.
Okay. All right, item number 24, discussion of possible motion concerning the Lions Days fundraiser, 1K, 5K walk. This is Tina's third year, I want to say,
I think so.
hosting this walk. She included some information, basically same plan as the last 2 years. Any questions on that?
Motion makes good sense.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, the next few here, council had asked Dustin to bring back, the revisions to several policies here, so I'll let Dustin take them one by one.
Purchasing policy in line with your guidance. I just went with the old one and Cynthia looked over a couple of them with me to make sure I was doing it the way you had asked. The only one I don't think that followed that line was the meeting stuff, but we already talked about that one in depth. So I think I added the stuff you told me on that 24-hour emergency clause that Cynthia brought up and some of the minor adjustments. But the first one is the purchasing policy.
Any questions for Dustin on the purchasing policy?
Looks to me like it's just basically you're inserting city administrator in there and removing. Steve Burke.
And I did add a gift card
Get her
procurement policy. But hopefully that's in line and more of what you were looking for.
Any other questions or comments on purchase?
I'll motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Aye. Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 26, same drill identity theft policy.
It's the same thing. There's only one spot in there that I could look at policy administration.
Make a motion. Second.
Roll call, please, Tom.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 27, same drill credit card policy. Dustin?
Same drill. Just minor updates to outline the city administrator and mayor roles.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Number 28, investment policy.
Again, same drill.
Any questions for Dustin?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Nick.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 29, social media policy.
Same pattern. I think I made one correction on that too in the first paragraph, but outside of this.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please, Nick.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. One final one, city council procedures for agendas and meetings.
And this is the same one. I didn't update it from the last time I presented, other than just adding the 24-hour emergency and some of the other stuff, but all the other original corrections are there from when I first presented them.
So when I read through it, I look at, as far as the agenda goes, obviously the meeting, the minutes, council approves. And adjusts, changes up or down. I don't see anything in here that to where council can put something on the agenda different than a regular resident,
Are you talking about before the meeting?
Yeah, setting up an agenda.
Okay.
Maybe I missed it, I read it a few different times, but I couldn't.
Well, the subject for bullet 9 kind of addresses it. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, 9, 8, 9, and 10, 9, 10, and 11. My thought is this, if a council member wants something put on the agenda other different than a resident, I don't see that is in here.
So number 9 and 10, or 10, you want it mentioned specifically city council.
Well,
not 10, not.
Or nine.
I put that out to you guys.
Four.
I thought, my thought was number 9 is, because how I read it is, if the mayor declines a request to place an item on the agenda, you can strictly appeal to the city council to add an item, so how I interpret that, and something you feel different is, if you want something put on there and the mayor says no, and then you feel it needs to be on there, then the city administrator can appeal to the city council to add an item.
But I also understand what he's saying, if he wants to request something to be added along with the citizen.
Is that how it reads? So you're kind of reading.
I read it as, I mean, for citizens.
For citizens,
too,
yeah.
You know, I don't know if we need,
Differentiate.
you know, to say the same thing twice, too.
It's your call. You let me know what you want and I'll amend it again. That's why I love this process.
The only difference is it's gotta go to the next meeting.
Yeah. This should be like the week before, when an agenda is being.
Yeah, but if you wanna appeal it's the mayor, whoever's decision, you talk about that council and it goes to the next meeting.
Yeah.
The way it's 9 is,
That's the way I.
there's no provision
So
for,
correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking for word that maybe if a council member asks for an agenda topic to be placed and the mayor declines it, that the city administrator will see that it's placed
Yes.
and not wait to bring it to the whole
To
council.
council and then it gets off a month later, right, or
Is
next.
that even allowable, Dustin?
That
Before the
specific
meeting?
situation, oh yeah, anyone can request to add stuff to the agenda as long as it's within the time.
But if the
I think
mayor
she has
says
to
no,
Well,
the mayor can't be overridden prior to the meeting.
if the city has a policy for it, they can't be. That's what we're discussing to put in place or not.
So state code wouldn't apply in this case. State code says mayor has the ultimate authority.
we may have to look into it a little bit further.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, and I understand what Tom's saying, so at that point, I would agree with Tom, he's looking for a specific bullet point that the week before, if Tom submits something.
Yeah.
And Joanne says, I don't wanna talk about chickens, because, we're clocking over it. And then he goes, no, I think we need to, and she goes, sorry, no, and then he goes to, Dustin, goes, well, I think should be, and then you're saying you want language in there that he can do what?
That it gives the council member ability to add something to the agenda,
You always
If the
have
mayor
that.
says no.
even if the mayor says no, yeah.
So I can
Well,
do,
that goes against state code though.
That's where we're saying we should probably.
You should probably look at it.
that.
I'll do two things. I'll research it, number one, to find out if it's legal. And two, I'll bring it back if it is.
Cause I think the resolution as it's presented now, with the revisions, I'm fine with all that. But I think the one thing is, Tom, and I agree with something they had a bullet point, if it's allowable. That if they're, cause we're not all gonna be on here forever, if the mayor doesn't wanna ever hear what one councilman has to say, they can just in perpetuity say, I'm not putting it on there, so you're looking to put something in place.
Yeah.
That allows that to be done
At that time of that meeting.
before
whatever
that meeting
topic
happens,
is,
instead of
it'd be-
waiting.
Rather than, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly.
And
right.
how it's written now can have the same effect, it just delays.
It's still 8 months.
Yeah, so if it's illegal to override the mayor's
Prior
veto,
to, yeah.
then it's probably
You just
illegal
have
for
to
the
wait.
council, no,
Oh.
is it even legal for the whole council to override the mayor's denial?
Gotcha.
I will have it reviewed.
Okay.
Okay, so that one is gonna carry forward.
And it's holding over chips.
April, pardon me? Okay.
UN's holding over chips.
Right. Okay, we'll move on to item number 31. City manager draft goals, Dustin summarized, our closed session. Dustin, go ahead.
Well, I can't speak specifically what was said in closed session. Those are just the goals based on my understanding of the feedback I got, so I wanted to. You can see how you felt about it, or if you want me to make amendments, please tell me. And then I'll represent it again, if I don't have it already.
I think it's a good summary.
Okay.
Any other feedback? Mike, Dan?
No, I just assume this is April, May of 2026, not 2025.
Thank you. I covered myself by making sure it was much as a living document. I'll update it.
No, I'm happy with it.
Any other feedback? Okay. We'll move on.
Thank you, Council.
Item number 32, discussion of the bonding information from Spirit Financial. Cynthia?
Well, I will start out with Maggie's email. She met with Dustin and I, we went through the, capital projects list. And she's recommending 2 different bond issues. Originally, the first one would be funded yet this fiscal year, but it's not gonna be now. It's, cause we haven't made a decision for sure yet, so it'll be funded in July of 25, and then the next one will be sometime in spring of 26. She did wanna point out that, you are substantially over the 2 issues, adding to the geo debt total. That we would still have some debt capacity remaining. Even with, allowing for the 20% contingency, but that she would recommend. Possibly not doing any bonding in 27. Now, the only thing I can say to that is, that's great advice, and remember, I won't be here. But, she doesn't know, and you don't know what kind of growth we'll have, and as you have 100% valuation growth, that geo debt limit grows also. So, in her TIF report, she projects 2%. This year it was almost 9. I've been here when it's been over 10. It's never been 2 since I've been here. So just keep that in mind also. So that I also wanted her to check to see if using what we have available for TIF right now, if we could keep paying what we are paying with TIF and then pay the TIF obligations and the new bonds. And she said, yes, we do. Without any new valuation, but we know new valuation is coming, like Regen's already built, but it's not on the taxable valuations yet, and probably others, but I mean, we've already got some in place. So that was good to hear. And then we can go through I don't know, the timeline is really important, except that if you move forward with this first bond, you need to have a special on May 27th. If you remember with bonding, there's always a special ask. Oh, and there's another special June 24th. We'll just be here all the time. Okay, and then let's look at the projects that are included in the first one I proposed. Okay, so the fire station addition and the first part of the fire truck, the chassis payment of the fire truck. Now, those 2 debts will be paid off with the fire department budget. They just paid off one debt, and so on a truck, so they plan to roll another truck, and that's their plan to keep trucks up to date. And so that would not be putting any additional ask on the general fund. The sewer lining would come out of sewer money. The intersection is TIF eligible. And the pickleball courts then would probably be the only one that would be coming out of the general fund, just that payment amount. And then she has the cost of issuance. And then the estimated bond sale. Now, they always advertise a little bit higher, and then again, if we end up not needing to borrow the entire amount, we're not obligated to. Okay. And then the 26 projects, The other part of the truck payment. The bridge, city portion, we could talk a little bit with her about, cash flowing. We assume once we get into construction, we'll have to incur and then get reimbursed up to the Fed total. But we felt that, there would be enough cash flow, doing this in the spring of 26, that would be fine. And then the 76 portion, which is again TIF. Questions?
I would just like to share something with the council here real quickly. Dustin and I last week, visited the state capitol as part of the league's, local leaders. Day gave us a chance to hear about the bills in progress and also meet our local representatives. There's some bills that I would encourage the council to become aware of and to keep tabs on. 2% property tax, assessed value cap. Right now it was 3%. They wanted proposing 2%. 2% sewer revenue, sewer recharge rate increase cap. 2% solid waste rate cap.
A year? That's a year, 2% is the max?
Right. They're really going on the 2%ers. And then also, Cynthia brought to my attention recently, they're looking at urban renewal. What do we want to call it, a freeze in the high population counties?
Yeah, the four counties with the highest population in Iowa, there's a bill suggesting that those counties are not eligible for any funding from the Iowa Economic Development Authority. Any of their programs. So convergence, high quality jobs that they have been approved for is through that authority. Now, who knows if they're gonna finally build, but if they do, are they grandfathered in because it was already approved? I don't know. But the bigger picture is that stop industrial commercial growth if those programs aren't available for other businesses that we haven't even heard of. And it's not passed yet, it's not law yet, it's somebody proposing it.
Right.
Do you know if it made it to the funnel?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to go through the
These
funnel
don't go through the funnel.
because it's in the Ways and
Ways
Means.
and Means Committee, so they aren't subject to the funnel.
Yeah,
So just so I make sure I understand this, we have to have a sewer rate at 110% of projected
Those are sorry.
cost.
of our SRF.
Yes.
Yeah,
But then we can't cap, we have to cap it to, so what if to get to 110%, we have to increase our sewer rate by more than 2%?
well, and what if the DNR tells us that we have to do some sort of huge costly
Funded mandate.
We say,
improvement?
sorry, can't.
And the SRF won't loan to somebody if they don't set the rates at what the SRF requires. It doesn't make any sense. It's people writing the law that doesn't know how the system works. And the solid waste, what if Republic raises their,
Well, they're going to in 10 years buy a crap ton.
yeah,
Yes.
So that's what's being proposed. So I would encourage you to keep an eye on it and
Can you, I mean,
write your representatives.
as you guys hear more about, can you keep us up to speed on something like that? So that way we can, I mean, if it's going to vote or something like that, that's major.
Dustin is our official legislative champion with Iowa League of Cities. So we'll look to him.
I will keep you in the loop. My head's spinning with the long list of proposals they've got in the funnel.
Reality says 2% cap, I don't see any city that would let that. It's just.
It doesn't matter,
what
matters what the
It's
state
just-
passes.
Right.
I think, is there a provision in there that if the city wants to go higher than that, they have to put it to the voters?
That I don't know.
I think there might have been,
So they're
but how
copying
you ever
Colorado.
gonna pass that?
That sounds to me like someone's just trying to make a big statement here, but reality says, how is that gonna work? And
Right.
that's just.
So heads up.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. So any questions about the information from Meg?
Well, I think the one thing I read that Cynthia already mentioned is not borrowing in 2027. I think that's a nice, similar rose colored glasses view of how the world works, like the state right now. I don't know if that's feasible, especially with a lot of our projects coming up. But again, like I said, every year I've been on the council, it's always way.
And remember, you pay off at least $1 million every year, so you know that will be down, but Maggie probably took that into consideration. And also, you know, if something comes up and you have to, hopefully it's not a $4 million project. You know, we've done geo bonds for 600,000, you know. So if it's a substantially smaller immediate need, you know, then
Well, like you said, like 2 years ago, we reduced our overall debt by like 2.2 million, and then the year after that, we reduced it again. And then next year, we'll just say, well, you know, we've been thinking about Church and Vanderbilt intersection for a while, but we'll just have to kick that can down the road another year.
There'll be another census in 32.
But you're investing in industrial, number 3, or the 76 Avenue, 4.6 million, you're invested in. There's TIF right there, and there's down the road, so you're paying early for a big dividend for a long time.
Yeah.
So
well, and you know,
it's invested.
you're getting the federal money for the bridge, and the bridge is 100 years old and is needed replaced for a long time. And the intersection has to be done in conjunction with that, so those are kind of tied together, you know. There's not a lot of wiggle room, yeah, so.
Sorry, changed my mind, pickleball court, gone.
You know, we talked about that, Joanne and I did, and, you know, you could do that, but is that gonna make a huge difference in your payment? No, it really is not. And is it gonna make a difference in what you can borrow in 27? Maybe a little bit, but not.
No, I think the real answer is as much as it sucks paying that for the 76th Avenue, that's what's, was it 6 lots? 6 commercial industrial lots for Iowa land development on the corner of.
Chris, how many
70s.
lots do they have? Is it 6 or 8?
It's
I think
8.
it's 8.
I guess I wasn't counting one conversion,
Oh, yeah.
theoretically, it's, yeah.
2 of them.
So I mean. That's the whole point we're doing this is bring those out, which is just need to help build, someone needs to move into them. Maybe you can have a data center.
So you want to move forward with Maggie's time frame, and so you'll
Schedule yet?
you'll have a special on May 27th and June 24th. And those are typically very short.
March here, March 25th.
You have 2 on the night of March 25th, the tax levy hearing, and then to set the hearing date for the full budget, and then the water, the well number 4 bids. And then the meet and greet.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the dates.
Cynthia, anything else on item 32?
No, I don't think so.
All right, that will lead us into item 33, discussion of the budget. We're zeroing in on it. Cynthia?
So, the 2 big pieces, I didn't print the 5-year and the 10-year CIP. I just printed the 1 year. I just thought it might be nice for you to see a printed copy a little bit bigger and focused in. Shane has, and I have gone through this and tweaked, you know, available funding, as much as possible. The other one is one that I'm not exactly sure that I've always showed you, but Shane, goes through all of our projects and gives me an estimate of what we're gonna spend before June 30th for our budget amendment. That will be our next budget topic to work on in, April and May. And then, what he anticipates next fiscal year for the project. So just helps me put in numbers in this 26 and then put numbers in the budget amendment. An example is the Heartland Heights Parks, we have the whole project in the current budget. Well, it's not gonna be done by June. So we will, in the budget amendment, we'll lower that amount in the current budget and then carry, add that on the expense line for fiscal 26. So that's what the second one is. Okay, so I'll just kind of try to highlight changes that I've made, but if anybody has questions, feel free to ask me, and I'll probably know it, but maybe not. I did talk to Fairfax Township today. Yeah, I was really proud. The estimates I had were off $26. Let's see here. The streets participation, I increased it from Shane's input last meeting. To include the total amount for Iowa Land.
Okay, Jerry, I'm thinking.
Oh, sorry, 4. I've tried to highlight any changes from the last time that you looked at it. Page 6, you can see on the Lynn County ARPA money at the bottom. We have the 423,500 in this year, but with Shane's breakdown of fiscal year, it looks like we won't be getting that till next fiscal year. So in the budget amendment, the 423,500 in this year will go to 0. Because that is the total we've got yet to receive. We're not receiving another 850, almost 50,000, not double. We're just moving it to fiscal 26. Then on page 7, I have put in the debt proceeds and over in the notes line said if it was in the July of 25 and then how much was in the 26 plan. And then again on 7, I have filled in the debt service transfers and the farm transfer. I will give it one more tweak look before I finalize the state forms, but I'm pretty sure these are the transfers that we'll go with and adopt, and again, can be amended next fiscal year. Then into expenses. That equipment line in the fire department is just a true up. They probably, it'll get separated out once we get into the fiscal year. It's just keeping their total at what it should be. So I know it says 947,592 on page 10, but that's got the truck in it. And so if you take that out, then you come up with the amount shown on page 9 for all their sources combined. On page 12, at the bottom, there's 2 lines of the lost fund highlighted that there's zeros now. Remember, we discussed moving all of the road use things out of loss into road use, because road use has a healthy beginning balance right now. So that was based on conversations last time. And then on page 13, moving that, so the contractor line is second to the bottom one, the 97.5 has got the 85,000 added, which was moved from loss. And then on page 14, the street repairs of 25,000 was moved from loss to road use. On page 15, I have filled in you can see the rejected expenses are 531,963. Projected new revenue is 400,000, but the current balance is 406,000, so you have 806 available. You know, I wouldn't recommend that you continually do 130,000 more than your new revenue. But you do have funds available at least for this proposed year. Page 16, the library, I put the 50,000 to go, to a savings or a CD for them to show support for the city's contribution to the addition. Page 18 is the Heartland Heights line that I mentioned. So Shane's estimate is 203,900 for next fiscal year. And so, I'll be taking the current year down to whatever, his, projection is for the current year. 22,800. And that is, more, let's see here. I gave you the current bond money, parks bond money, cash balance is 174, but they, we had mentioned in the planning, and speak up, Joe, if I'm wrong, in the planning discussions that the parks also had 55,000 in their savings, so, you know, if the project goes over the bond total, we would have other funds to use, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, page 19. That is the annual amount right now that the general fund is paying for debt. You can see it's very small. You know, we pay a lot in debt. Let's see what the total is. This is non-revenue debt, 1,000,000, almost 700,000, and only 22,008 is currently coming from the general. 5,000 is the estimate for the typical transfer from farm to the park savings. Page 24, it doesn't look like I highlighted those. So, I went through the capital projects according to Shane's split for fiscal year, and I believe adopted his estimates for the 26 fiscal year. And then when we do the budget for 25, I'll look at his 25 estimates and change them as needed. And same for 25 has got 3 bond projects. The water and sewer, if you remember, the revenues were less than the expenses, so Brian came in and made some changes. And we discussed beginning fund balance, and we also discussed, you know, some of the proposed improvements or like spare part purchases or stuff would be delayed until we can see for sure where we are, you know. If you remember, you just changed the rates in August. So if we get some more time to see historically what the new rates are doing, you know, we can true up ourselves and see, you know, are we more than we thought in revenues or less, you know, even though a spare parts line says 8,000, maybe it's not there to spend. Right, Brian?
Right.
Okay. On page 28, I just added like the current balance for the water debt service and water revenue total and the water debt revenue, again, right now projected is about 48,000 less. But again, those rates haven't been in effect very long, so we'll double check that. I'll double check that before I leave. Sewer, kind of the same thing that we said, Brian did lower a couple of lines, but even so, we will have him watch and, look at revenues and look at expenses, and you can see on page 31, sewer revenues 534, expenses 617, but the current balance is 405,000, and then that's in regular sewer, not sewer debt, okay? 32, I didn't put the solid waste ordinance on this month, because I wanted to talk to you about this, but I've got it slated for next month. I had proposed 2410. When I did the calculations, it's showing a projected, even with the 2425 that I changed it to, of negative balance of about 14,000. So the 2410 was keeping the gap exactly the same. Adding the other 15 cents, they gained a little bit. I would just ask you, are you comfortable with the 2425? A month. 15 cents more than what last month's pages said. Per month per user.
Going up, starting in the next month or two.
Starting, with the end of June bill, because that's when the Republic changes their fees. We're just basing it on when they change their fees. So if you wanted, they're changing their fees, if you wanted to keep the gap exactly the same, you would be at, I think, 2409 actually. And I had just upped it a penny. But in looking at the projected fund balance.
You'd be negative.
Yeah.
Left it.
Yeah. And we have previously transferred 20,000 from the general fund into the garbage. Does anybody got a problem with 2425?
How much would be transferred? I mean, if we kept it the same, about how much?
14.
14.
If we kept what I'm proposing, if we do what I'm proposing,
Which is the 2425.
yes, not the 2410,
With 2425, we're still 14, Chad.
yes.
Yeah.
So well, 15 cents.
So I think it's actually an increase of 16 cents in the gap from the contractors to what we charge. An additional 16. Yeah, sorry. There's there's a gap now, but, okay. All right.
I'm fine with it. Go up 16, 15, 16 cents.
Okay, yeah. So that line that says increase of $1.35, I didn't update that. That should have 15 cents added to it. So is that $1.50? Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's 22.75 now. That. Okay. Let's see. Page 33, just added the transfer out for the farm. And it's totaling, and I didn't change anything in the service page. Those are the easiest ones to fill in early. Questions? Kind of go over the schedule. So before your March 2012, Lynn County is preparing the tax statement to mail right now. They have to have it mailed by the 15th. So residents will be receiving them in case a resident asks you, you'll receive one too. And then the 25th, we will have the hearing on that no tax statement. Before then, I have to have all these numbers in the state's forms so that I can have the full budget hearing notice ready to go to the Gazette. I have to send it to the Gazette actually the 25th in order to get it in time for the April 9th meeting. And then the 25th, you'll set that hearing date for April 9th. April 9th, then you adopt the full budget. Then I'm also planning on April 9th that you'll set the hearing date for a budget amendment for your May meeting. And that's the latest you can do it in the fiscal year and still have it not get thrown out if it gets challenged.
Are there any other smaller towns? Have you heard, you seen what they're proposing as far as changes? Obviously, we're staying at the 810, but has any others gone up or?
Halo is going down a little bit, and that's because they had been levying for, they're still way higher than us, they're not at the
Yeah,
810.
we're still the lowest in the county.
They, had been levying for employee benefits, and they have enough of a balance that they don't need to levy for a year at least, maybe 2 years. So I suggested to them that they drop that levy, and so their levy changed a little bit going down, but it's still 11, real close to 11.
Compared to 810.
Yeah. I don't really have any input on any others other than
Robin. Robin just had to put theirs to a vote.
Which was, what?
I'll let Cynthia explain.
Oh, well, you probably read it in more detail than I did, but they thought they were getting more money from FEMA over the derecho than they're gonna get. And so when they thought they were gonna get this bonus money, they lowered their levy.
Yeah.
And now they don't have enough money. And now with the state doing the calculated, general fund levy, and they already levy for employee benefits, debt service, and insurance. So they didn't have those other things to help counterbalance that calculated. So, yeah, they had to
Put it to a vote to the residents, and the residents did approve it. To
From
go back
From
up
what to what?
to,
force something to, I'm not sure what they went to.
Yeah, they're levy at 4 something.
but they're not full service because they get some things from Cedar Rapids.
Right, they don't have their own water and sewer.
We can't really compare.
I see.
Yes. Yeah, when we say we're the lowest full service city in it,
Right,
yeah.
Roberts is,
And Bertram is below us too, but they don't.
they're not full service.
They're hardly any service.
Okay, any other questions on the,
Yeah, just, sorry, Cynthia, can you explain the tax statement hearing notice as it's laid out? Like the middle column where it's the 747, is this what
Sure.
people are getting?
Yeah. Well, this is what we post, the hearing that the county sends looks a little different, but pretty close to this, so yeah, I can explain it, I think. Let me get it bigger so I can read it. So this is the current year, the tax dollars that we get, see, this is when a younger clerk would be with me. So it shows our 810, you can see, the ag, the regular property taxes. And the ag levy, okay. So the middle column shows our valuation went up. And it shows if we kept getting the same exact total tax dollars. So if we still only got $1,250,298, see that regular total property tax line? And see how it's the same in the second column? So it shows that we would go from 810 to 747,663 because the valuations went up. So if you're getting the same amount of dollars, the per thousand is automatically going to go down, okay? And then what we're proposing, you can see this valuation matches the middle column. And then we are proposing to increase the insurance amount, and that's based on the change of the general fund calculated levy going down, because we're trying to stay at the 810. And, so instead of 1,250,298 in property taxes for, regular property taxes, we're getting, proposing to get 1,354,543. And you can see in the first column is the 810 and the last column is the 810. That's the consistency that we're trying to maintain. And of course, the ag levy, the 3.00375, and the final column is the same. So that's what those columns are showing. So this is showing, if a residential property with actual assessed valuation of 100,000 to 110,000. The current year, their property taxes would be $375. And the proposed would be $423 and a percentage of change. Now, this percentage of change, if you remember last year, we kept our levy at 810 and it showed a negative 15.8, I think. So clerks all over Iowa contacted the Iowa Department of Revenue and said, oh, well, how do you come up with that percentage? Well, the rollback plays into it. So I cannot do the math and come up with that. But so forces out of our control set that percentage, because like I said, last year it showed a negative 15 and we were keeping the levy exactly the same. And then they're doing the same thing with commercial property. If it was worth 300,000 and then worth 330,000. So, you know, even though this number is bigger, it's on a higher assessed value. So
It's 10%.
yeah, I think they're trying to confuse everybody.
They're doing a 10% valuation growth.
Yeah. So, I mean, how does a normal person just reading that do the calculations in their head and understand all that? And last year, they did 100,000, 100,000. Well, that didn't make any sense because commercial property, the first 150,000 is taxed just like residential. So you got the rollback involved. So that's why they changed it to 300,000. Because in commercial, the first 150 is taxed like residential. Then the next 150 is taxed at the 90%, not the residential rollback amount. So again, how an average resident can do that math is beyond me. And so then down here, they want us to make a statement of why the change. And so I just put that we wish to keep the city's levy at 810, even though the city has experienced increases in expenses. So that's will be our information part, somewhat different appearance in the counties, that what they send will have the county information, the school information, and our information. They'll have the hearing dates for all three taxing entities on the levy statements.
So in
Clear
one
as mud.
sentence, it's if your assessed value doesn't change, since our levy rate doesn't change, your property tax wouldn't change.
Right.
And if they do, they're gonna cap it at 2%.
The city portion. won't
Yes, the
change.
city,
Right.
the city assessed portion.
So in keeping the levy the same and capitalizing on our growth, and you are bringing in money to cover the increases in the expenses or new projects, whatever. I mean, that has allowed us to, the growth has allowed us to stay at the 8. There questions? Did that help at all?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So lost, so the last meeting, we moved some road items out, which was
Yeah.
just stated, we put in the amphitheater, I guess,
We left it, because I had put the amphitheater in and then we discussed.
that was
it.
like fireworks.
Oh, I forgot the fireworks.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, good catch. So I need to add the fireworks as an expense, and then, so that will take down the 209, I mean, there's more than enough. Estimated fund balance of June of 26, did we decide on 15,000?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the full.
we'll take 15,000 off that estimated. So you still have more than enough for the 100,000 reserve. And then whatever, 109 minus 15.
And as far as what loss can be used for,
Any lawful purpose.
any lawful, okay, so that's
Yeah.
what. And we can legally bank the money without spending it.
Yeah.
So if we had a bigger project down the line, not doing some of these things, we could use that money for a larger project.
Right. If you choose, now depending on how long it takes you to save for it, the cost of the project may be going up faster than you're saving, you know. Your cost savings may be to bond for it and pay it, make the payments out of lost. Cause then you're still paying for it, but you're not incurring the delay, construction, inflation or whatever. That's just something to consider. We do already pay some debt out of lost. We pay for the city hall building out of lost. And the fire department, we put 60,000 towards their debt.
The truck, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And we have done that for, I think when I first started, it was 30,000, but it's been 60,000 now for a while. And I will add the fireworks. I completely forgot about that.
We probably take out the amphitheater just to be safe.
Yeah.
I was putting interest in some part placeholder.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the ability to say yes or no to any of the projects anywhere in the budget, you know. Again, I'll stress, the budget is our best guess for, you know, a year and 3 months from now. It will be amended. I've never not amended the budget. And probably twice, especially with 2 bond issues and all the projects that we have going.
Any other questions for Cynthia on the budget? Any discussion? Move on to item number 34, the claims. Any questions on any of the bills on the claims?
All right, one, the fourth, the last, is that a typo on the registration refund for Alan Whiteman?
Is it a
Everyone else is
spelling
like
or?
65, no, I don't spell his name.
Oh, okay.
Everyone else coach, it seems 65, and then there's 665.
Yeah, must be a typo. Who is it for, Alan?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, that should be $65.
okay.
Good catch.
It made his day.
Well, we would not have issued a check.
His bills and the invoice is correct.
Anything else? Not, I need a motion to approve.
Pay bills.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Opportunity for citizens not on the agenda. I think I know when there's a lot.
No, we don't have much time.
What's the time they need here?
That's because I miss out on the fun.
All right, mayor's comments, 2 things. Cynthia had already mentioned, after our 2 special city council meetings, the evening of March 25th, we will have our 2nd annual volunteer board and commission meet and greet, same plan as last year. Heads of those organizations hopefully will be able to attend, talk briefly about what their committee does and introduce the members, and we'll have snacks. Hopefully city council members can hang around for that as well. And there's just one other thing, as we're talking about bills at the state level to keep an eye on. There are 2 bills that have advanced past the funnel that although they will not have a direct financial impact on our library, could potentially greatly impact our library's operation. And that's the library obscene materials bill. Will basically be handcuffing our staff and subject them to fines and arrests and everything else that these bills go through.
In what way?
If a minor has access to a material that's deemed obscene by their definition of obscene, the library staff member or director could be held liable for that.
And that could mean walking by a book in the adult section that might, on page 300, have something that somebody deems obscene.
Who's the somebody?
I don't know.
Any concerned citizen,
A
brother?
concerned citizen.
I think you're gonna have to have a children's library, and I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, but it's crazy.
Well, in the schools, I think there's a bill proposing some type of software program where you can anonymously report something in the school that's considered obscene, so I would guess they would want to do that in the libraries as well. Anonymous reporting. So it's scary. My opinion, it's scary. So and that's passed out of, down past the first funnel.
Especially if you can do it anonymously, that's chicken.
That's chicken, yeah.
Yeah, that's just chicken.
Creates chaos.
Yeah, so, be aware, write your representatives. Tell them to vote against it.
The league does have a weekly legislative update electronic newsletter that you can sign up for.
Yep.
That gives a brief paragraph about what the status is and what the talking points of the bills are.
So even though you can funnel your comments through Dustin as far as a united force, as individuals should still write your representatives, because one of the representatives that we met with says he pays attention to how many emails he gets on a particular bill.
And on the other hand, that league also is getting blasted over all these bills too, so they've also requested that we funnel our concerns to them, so we appear to have a united front. I like the legislative link idea, I think that's a good way to.
Yeah, down
The
Keep in-
league is trying everything they can to represent you at the state level.
Not an easy task.
No,
That's all I have. Dustin?
everything is in my report there.
Okay. Cynthia, anything else?
I'll be gone, not this Friday, next Friday. So I will be doing, the packets for the special are gonna be very small, of course. But so I will have the packets in the Civic Web published by that, next Thursday, for the following Tuesday.
Anything else?
No, sorry.
Okay, need a motion to
Okay.
adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, please.
I.
Thank you, council.
Promotion. There's one. Well.